Okay, welcome everyone to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're taking a bit of a unique plunge. We're looking at European football, zeroing in on Paris Saint-Germain, Inter Milan, and of course the UEFA Champions League.
Yeah, and the way we're doing it is, well, it's different. We're not using articles or reports this time.
Right.
Instead, we've got this really fascinating collection of search queries, what people are actually looking for online.
It's like a direct line into what fans are curious about.
Exactly. So our mission really is to unpack what these searches show us, what little nuggets of interest pop up. We want to guide you through what the world seems to be asking about PSG, Inter, and the Champions League itself. Get a real feel for the pulse of fandom right now.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get into it then.
Yeah.
So what immediately jumps out looking at this data is this, well, intense focus on a potential matchup between these two specific clubs.
Oh, absolutely. Queries like PSG versus Inter Milan, or even just the simpler Paris versus Inter, they just keep appearing again and again.
It is pretty striking, isn't it? Because there's no confirmed fixture right now, but the idea of PSG playing Inter.
Yeah. People are already searching for things like a potential timeline, possible lineups. They want a prediction. They're even asking where to watch it.
It's not just history, then. It's this active looking forward, anticipating this specific game.
It really speaks volumes about the narrative power of the Champions League. Fans are basically fantasy booking the knockout rounds in their heads.
Mapping out these huge clashes.
Imagining the tactics, the players going head-to-head, and the sheer number of searches for this possible game, well, it's almost as revealing as searches for games that are actually happening today.
Right. It shows that whole imaginative side of being a fan.
Definitely. And, well, beyond just that one potential match, there's just this huge general interest in the competition overall.
Oh, yeah. Massive. You see searches for Champions League, UEFA Champions League, all the variations, and especially for the big one, the Champions League final, or UCOLA final.
People are just hungry for info about the tournament, period.
Absolutely. And tied right into that, you get a ton of really practical searches.
Like Champions League schedule or standings, and maybe the most common one, countless ways of asking where to watch Champions League final.
Or how to watch odds final live.
Exactly. It highlights something key, I think.
Which is?
Well, for all the talk about tactics and star players, a huge concern for the average fan is simply access.
Just knowing when the games are and how to actually see them?
Precisely. And what's also interesting is you see searches for the present, like the 2024 Champions League final, but also quite a few looking further ahead.
Ah, yeah, the Champions League final 2025 searches, they really stand out.
They do. And right alongside those, you often see searches specifically for Munich.
Revealing that fans are already thinking a year out, pinpointing the location for the next final.
It shows that sort of long-term planning and excitement that builds around this event. It's not just week to week.
Okay, so let's pivot a bit to the clubs themselves. Looking at the searches specifically for PSG, beyond just their name, what comes through?
Well, there's a very clear emphasis on their track record in the Champions League, their history in this competition.
Right. Questions like, has PSG won Champions League? Or, how many champions does PSG have? They pop up a lot.
It tells you something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For all their domestic success, all the stars they've had.
That lack of a Champions League trophy is still a big point of conversation, or at least curiosity.
Yeah, fans are checking their performance in the one competition that arguably matters most on that stage.
And it's a kind of similar for Inter Milan, too, right? People search for their name, obviously, but there's specific interest in Inter Milan Champions League titles.
Exactly. Their history, especially that treble win under Mourinho, it's baked into their identity.
So fans engaging with them now are often looking back at that European success, that legacy.
It just reinforces this idea that, history really matters in modern football fandom. It's not just about the current team or the current season.
It's about where the club fits in the bigger picture of the competition's story.
Right. We even saw searches, things like biggest Champions League final win. That points to people looking back at iconic moments, often involving these kinds of massive clubs.
Okay, so moving from the clubs to the people, the individuals involved are clearly huge drivers for searches.
Oh, massive. And no surprise, the global superstars dominate. Mbappe and Kylian Mbappe, the search volume is just incredible.
Can't argue with that. The pull of a player like Mbappe is undeniable.
But it definitely goes beyond just the absolute biggest names. We see lots of searches for other key players.
Like who?
Well, Hakimi PSG is a big one.
Yeah.
And interestingly, also, Hakimi Inter Milan, which obviously calls back his time there.
Ah, right, that connection.
Yeah. Then you have Benjamin Pavard, Federico DiMarco, mainstays like Marquinhos, PSG. It shows fans are tracking the really important figures on the pitch for both sides.
And this is where it gets, I think, really interesting because alongside these like established stars,
Yeah.
you also see searches for specific younger players, maybe names that aren't globally household names yet, like Senimeyulu or Du.
And variations like do or PSG do.
Exactly.
That is fascinating. It gives you a glimpse into maybe a deeper level of fandom.
How so?
Well, it's not just about the Galacticos or the starting 11. These searches suggest there's a group of fans who are really invested in the club's future, tracking the talent coming through the pipeline.
Like the academy prospect.
Yeah, a deeper engagement with the whole club structure, not just the first team you see every week. And this focus on individuals, it doesn't stop at the players either.
Right, it extends to the management, too. We see searches for PSG coach and specifically Luis Enrique.
And also the club president, Nasser Al-Khelaifi. People want to know about the leadership, both on the bench and in the boardroom.
And this is where the search data, well, it takes a bit of a turn, showing a different kind of interest. Because alongside Luis Enrique, the coach, you find searches for Luis Enrique's daughter and Zana Enrique, and even what happened to Luis Enrique's daughter.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's powerful. It shows how these figures in sport, they really do become more than just their job titles in the public eye.
It transcends the professional role.
Absolutely. Those searches aren't about tactics or transfers. They're about the human story behind the public figure. It reveals a whole different dimension of what captures attention.
And similarly, though obviously very different, you see searches connecting Paris riots to the club.
Which likely suggests how major news events happening in the city can get linked in people's minds and then reflected in what they search for online, probably tied to news cycles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then sort of rounding things out, you have more everyday fan stuff.
Like
Searches for flash score, just wanting quick results, or even soccer near me, which shows how this high-level interest exists alongside a general love for the game.
It's fascinating, really, how all these different types of searches paint this picture of, well, a very multi-layered fan engagement.
It really is. It's clearly not just about the 90 minutes on the pitch, or even just the league table.
No, it's about these potential games that fire up the imagination.
The competition's own history, its future.
The players, from the absolute icons down to the kids coming through.
The management, and yeah, even the personal lives or wider news events touching these clubs and people.
So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. We started this deep dive looking at search queries, basically, the questions people are asking online about PSG, Inter Milan, and the Champions League.
What we found is this landscape of, well, really varied and intense curiosity. It goes from the hypothetical,
like all those PSG versus Inter Milan searches showing that real anticipation,
to the absolute basics, the fundamentals like Champions League final and especially where to watch.
Yeah.
It's practical need.
We saw how history plays a big part, that interest in Inter's past titles, and the lingering question about whether PSG has won it.
Yeah, connecting today's clubs to their legacy.
And the individuals, obviously huge, Mbappe, Hakimi, Pavard, but also those intriguing searches for younger guys like Mayulu and Du.
Right, suggesting that deeper level of following the club's future, plus the interest in the coach and the president.
And then those, perhaps more surprising searches, the tangential ones, like Paris riots, or the very personal ones related to Luis Enrique's daughter.
Yeah, showing just how broad the scope of public attention can be. And of course, the practical stuff like the schedule or looking ahead to Munich for the Champions League final 2025.
So this whole mix, potential matches, star power, history, practical info, youth tracking, personal stories, news links, it paints a really vivid picture of modern football fandom, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows fans engaging on so many different levels all at once.
So thinking about this whole landscape of questions we've uncovered, from the big hypothetical clashes and the global stars, down to historical details, where to watch, tracking youth players, even personal interest, what does this incredible mix of searches actually tell us about what truly drives passion in football fandom today?
That's the big question, isn't it? Something to maybe mull over next time you're watching one of these teams in action.